let me, oh, let's do this. That's pretty good. Okay. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to join in. I'm going to get my coffee. I really need some more coffee. I'll drink it very slowly. So I'm super excited to finally be going live again regularly. It's awesome. And to get to check in with you guys and see what y'all are up to. Today, I was just going to kind of chat and let you guys know what's happening. But I realized I don't buy yarn very often anymore. But I went to Ollies with my mother-in-law, and Ollies had some great deals on yarn. So I wanted to share with you guys what I got. And that made me think about, good morning, Ellen. That made me think about some of the money saving tips that, I used to use, that I still use now, but used to use a lot more when I was buying more yarn at a time. So trying to buy things in bulk because of craft shows or Christmas gifts or things like that. So I figured I would go through some of that and just see what you guys have been up to. So it's Tuesday. I hope you guys have had a good start to your week. I would love to know what you are working on, and if you are listening from work or from home, or what you got going on today. So when it comes to saving money on yarn, I would love to know if you guys have tips and tricks that you use, if you have things that you do specifically when you're trying to save money. I would love to know if you buy yarn in bulk, or if you just kind of buy whatever you see that is pretty, if you have specific projects in mind. So one of the ways that I started off saving money on yarn, it really boiled down to figuring out the real point of why I was buying yarn. So it's a lot easier now for me to save money on yarn and pass up, pretty yarn when I see it on sale if it's not on brand. So when I say on brand, I mean, if you guys have been following me, you know that I use almost exclusively super bulky yarn. So if it's not super bulky or bulky where I can, combine two strands together, you're probably not going to see me buying a whole lot of, worsted weight yarn, fingering weight yarn, lace weight yarn. It's just not going to happen. I'm not going to buy yarn to make socks unless they're super bulky socks, So that helped me a lot. And when I was doing craft shows, my focus for craft shows was also super bulky yarn. And I also knew that I knew there were specific yarns that sold really well. And so it was a lot easier for me to not branch out because I had a focus. So if you have a focus and you know what you're going to do, and a lot of that goes back to having projects in mind. So if you're able, and it's just like groceries, if you have a list and you have a reason for the list, then it's going to be a little bit easier for you to stick with the list. So I would make a list usually if once I had all my craft shows planned out for the year, I would figure out how much inventory I wanted. How many scarves, how many hats, how many whatever. And then I would also include like Christmas gifts. And once I had that list of the inventory that I needed, I would figure out what that meant in yarn, so how much yarn I would need, maybe some of the different colors. And I didn't get too focused on colors because it really just depended on what was in stock that I could get on sale. And so I see Sindra. Hello, Ellen. I love when Ollies has yarn. Yes. We actually had an Ollies in Georgia that I would go to, and they really kind of stopped carrying yarn. I didn't see it very often anymore. So it was actually kind of funny that moving over here to Alabama, the first time I go to Ollies, they had yarn. So it was like, it was meant to be, And another cloudy day, good idea to keep a focus. Exactly. So I would have my list of yarn, and from there, I would usually try in store first. My closest store was Michael's, and since I was a Lion brand yarn fan, Michael's was good because, as you guys know, most Hobby Lobbies, I don't know if any Hobby Lobby carries Lion brand yarn. I don't usually find it there. It's mostly their brand. So for me, having a Michael's close by was perfect because I could then focus on sales. So again, a lot like grocery shopping, if you are really focused on, getting deals, you have to look at coupons, so you want to sign up for the mailing list from Michael's. You want to make sure that you're getting the actual mailbox type mail from Michael's. You want to sign up for their rewards. Any of those programs that you can sign up for that'll potentially get you more coupons, more codes, more sales, you want to do that. And I don't pay as much attention to that now because I'm not buying yarn in bulk. But back then I was on it. So like every week I looked at the sales. Every week I looked to see if it was possible to combine a sale with a coupon. And I remember like the golden ticket was when all of the yarn, or at least like Lion brand yarn, was, buy one, get one free was a big one. If all the yarn was 25% off, there were a whole bunch of different sales. But then the golden ticket was when I would get the little mailer. So they would send out like the mailers with coupons on them. And there would usually be a coupon for 20 to 25% off your entire purchase, including sale items. So when that happened, those were the days that I would leave with like 3 carts of yarn, so it was worth it to kind of save up and have enough money to where I really could truly buy what you would consider in bulk. I would buy a lot of yarn, and try to cover all of the things that I needed for the craft shows and things, because it was a lot of money up front, but I knew it was going to get used. I knew that it was going to get used. So I would rather have gotten it on sale than to have to go back because, I don't really want to spend that much money today. But then you're going to spend more later if it's not on sale. So it just made sense for me to do that and to plan ahead for that. I knew that craft show season, at the very beginning of craft show season, it's a lot because you're paying fees up front to go to craft shows. Usually they want their fees paid, a month before. You don't get to wait until the day of the craft show to pay. And then you're buying all of your supplies. So it's expensive up front, and then you work to make that money back throughout the year. Now, there are some things that you can do money-wise to help with that. So my first year with craft shows, I really didn't have a ton of money up front to pay. So there are some ways that you can work with that without, for instance, putting it on a credit card and then having to pay, fees because you're leaving a balance and you're paying a minimum balance. One of the things that really came in handy was PayPal. So PayPal will do on larger purchases, which depending on what you're using to pay for, there were some shows that I was able to pay through PayPal. And they offer like 6 months, no interest on certain payments. And I don't know if it's for everybody, but they offered it to me. It was about 3 years ago. And I was able to do that. And then I was able to wait until I had a few craft shows under my belt and had worked up some money to then pay that off. So I didn't have any extra fees, didn't have any extra, interest or whatever. But that was super helpful when I was having to pay a lot up front for the craft shows and for the yarn. So having a focus is really, really great. And that helps me now. So now I really don't buy yarn unless I have at least some kind of a plan, part of a plan, a little bit of an idea of what I'm going to do with that yarn. And that helps me now. I do have some now that's on my shelf. It's actually right here. So back here, there's like a purpley looking yarn underneath there. I bought that because it was on sale and it was pretty. It is a size 6, super bulky, and it's really, bright and colorful. So it's 100% on brand with me and what I'm doing with my designs. But I bought it last year and I haven't touched it. So I knew I wanted to make like a sweater with it, but it still hasn't really come into focus. So I do try to have some kind of a plan of like, okay, if I'm going to buy this, I need to buy enough to make this specific kind of item. So that brings me to Ollies. I'm going to show you guys, since, I'm in this a little ways, and I think everybody who's here, people may drop in, but I want to share with you the yarn that I got. So I've decided that my focus for Pink Sheep is going to be on obviously tutorials. So if you guys, you subscribe to me on YouTube, I've got like a Learn to Crochet playlist, and I sell Learn to Crochet kits, which is great. I'm trying to bring people in, teach them the basics, and then all of my patterns are super beginner friendly. So, I feel like that's kind of a one-stop shop for people who, and people who like super bulky yarn. So one of the things that I want to start doing on YouTube is really going through and doing yarn reviews and things on super bulky yarn that's out there, because that's the biggest question that I get. That's the question I get most often is, I love your patterns, but I'm not really sure what yarn to use, especially when the yarn that I used is discontinued, because that happens all the time. As you guys know, yarn gets discontinued all the time. And people want to know, okay, I can't find this yarn. What can I use? So I feel like my YouTube channel would be a great place for me to start doing reviews, and, going out maybe once or twice a month to some of my local stores and seeing what's out there and available in the bulky and super bulky size range, and then, doing some honest reviews. So that I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so when I got to Ollie's and I saw that they had stuff on sale, and we'll talk about this too, because they had quite a few different yarns available. So if you have an Ollie's near you right now, it's the Bernat brand yarn that is available on sale. They had a lot of blanket yarn. They had a yarn, I can't remember what it's called, but it reminded me of homespun. So it looked a lot like homespun, by Lion Brand. And then they had a couple other that I didn't recognize, and some of them were like a lighter weight yarn, but obviously the blanket yarn was super bulky. And they did have some in a color that I really liked, but I was like, I've already reviewed blanket yarn. I already have blanket yarn, so I'm going to say no. So that's because I had a focus and I said, okay, I need to review new yarn and I need to use new yarn. That allowed me, it made it a little easier to not spend a lot more money that day and buy a bunch of blanket yarn. So the yarn that I got, and it's funny because this is a yarn I've been wanting to try, a type of yarn that I've been wanting to try for a while now, because it's in the super bulky size range and because it's a style of yarn that I have not yet tried. And it is Bernat Velvet Plus. You guys can see. And I am really excited about this yarn. It is really soft. I love the color. So I got this kind of like a teddy bear brown with some red in it. It is considered a size 6. It has the size 6 back here. And it's half off of the asking price. So it was $4.99 for a skein of this. Regularly $10, probably more depending on where you get it from. But yes, so I found this at Ollie's, Ellen. So this was, you can see the Ollie's sticker. But they had blanket yarn too in a whole bunch of colors. So they had this in 2 different colors. And that was another thing. I was really close to buying both colors in enough yarn to make sweaters. But I said, I don't need 2 different colors. I need 1 color, because that way I can make a cardigan or something out of this. And write up the design, and then I'll have a cardigan that's for this kind of velvety or faux fur type of yarn. So that's what I have been wanting to try, a faux fur style yarn now for a while. And even though this is considered velvet, says Velvet Plus, it feels like faux fur. So I knew I had to get it because this is exactly what I've been wanting to use and talk about. So I am going to open some of this up today and try it, just so I can kind of give you guys my initial impression. But I'm really excited about this yarn. I'm super excited. Again, if you can't tell. But yeah, and let me know if you've tried this, or if you've tried any kind of faux fur and what you used it for. I know one of the girls that tests for me a lot just released a fox hood. So if you guys follow Badger and You on Instagram, so that's Badger and YEW. Her name's Holly, and she released a little fox hood pattern, and there's the fur lining on the inside. Now, I haven't seen the pattern, and I'm not sure how she put that in, if like she made multiple pieces and sewed them together. Not really sure. But that's what I was thinking about that, and I'm like, I really want to try that yarn. So here we go. So I'm going to open this up. Let's see if I can find where to open it. Okay, there we go. And I am definitely someone who pulls from the outside. I am not a pull from the center kind of gal. I feel like it's kind of a split there for a lot of people. Let's open that up. And it says, let's see what it says. It says to use, and let me go over some of the details. So you get 78 yards. So I actually purchased 8 of these suckers because I wanted to make sure I had enough to make like an actual, maybe, I think it's going to either be a hoodie or a cardigan with a hood, kind of like the Dobby. And then maybe some pockets if I have enough yarn. We'll see. I was thinking about making it longer, but I don't know if I'll have enough to make it longer. But I got 8 of them. You get 78 yards. It says to use, let's see, their sticker is over all of the instructions. It says to use a 9mm hook, but you guys know I don't use 9mm hooks, so it would at least be a 10. I might even jump to a 12 because I crochet pretty tight. Tight. Yeah, I crochet tightly. So 9mm. So I am going to grab a 12mm. See if I can find a 12mm in my stash. So you guys know I've got all of our hooks that are ready to order are in here. And actually, let me use one of the new ones. So we have a new color coming out this month. Let's see if I can find the 12. Those are 10s. Come on now, where's my 12? That's a 14. That's an 11. Of course, the one that I want is not right here. That's got to be, nope, that's a 10. Seriously? 14, 11. Of course, I bet you the 12's, yep, 12 was all the way at the bottom. Okay. So these are the newest hooks we're going to be releasing. They are hot pink with glitter. There you go. I'll hold that up for you. There you go. And this is the 12. So it should have the 12mm mark on the bottom. And I'm going to use that for this. So it does remind me of blanket yarn in that there is obviously a strand on the inside of this that does not have a lot of give. If you use like a wool yarn or something, sometimes it almost feels like there's a little bit of give, which makes it a little easier to work with. If I pull on the end, there is fuzz coming off. So I feel like that's important. Every time I pull on the end, there's some fuzz coming off of there. But if I like pull along the edge here, there's not fuzz coming off. It does not seem like it's going to shed on me. But the ends do seem to shed a little bit. So if you're going to have to do an item where you're cutting a lot of strands, if you're having to cut your yarn and start new working yarn, you may have some shedding problems. But look how fuzzy it is. Okay, so I've got my 12mm and I'm just going to chain. Ooh, this is going to be tough. Yeah, you definitely can't see what you're doing because it looks so fluffy. It's not awful. I just wanted to make sure that the hook was going to grab the yarn because it's hard to tell. I probably could go up a hook size on this. I don't know if I'd want to go down to a 9. I feel like that would be asking for trouble, especially if you crochet tightly, to be able to find the actual stitches for this. Because I mean, there's your chain. You're not going to be able to see your stitches. So really be making sure that you're staying on count so that you know how many stitches you need. So let's do half double crochets back across. I think that'll be good. This is really heavy too. So when I had the 8 balls of yarn in the bag, it was really heavy. So if I make a cardigan and use all 8 balls of yarn, it's gonna be a heavy cardigan. But I think that's nice. I mean, it's like a weighted cardigan, so that's not awful. Okay, so second chain from the hook, we are going to work some half double crochets across. And I'm just guessing here. It's a lot like homespun. When you use homespun single stranded, you kind of just have to guess where the stitch is. This would not be beginner friendly yarn for sure. You would want to have a little bit of experience under your belt before you start using a yarn like this, just so that you don't frustrate yourself. So that's half double crochets, working these across. Another cloudy day. I like how you can make so much progress with bulky yarn. Yes, so that is one of the main reasons. My Learn to Crochet kits come with super bulky yarn. It's either Lion Brand Thick and Quick, Woolies, or Hometown USA if they prefer an acrylic option. And one of the main reasons that I recommend, and the hook size that I include is a 16 millimeter, which a lot of people would feel like that's too big. You know, why would a beginner want to start out with such a big hook? But if you think about it, like when you're learning how to write and they gave you those huge pencils because it was easier for you to see, you know, what you were doing and, you know, making all of the right movements. And so that's what I liken it to. You know, it just makes it easier for you to see your stitches and what you're doing. And the other reason is exactly what you said, which is progress, because you know, if you're just starting out, you don't want to spend 6 months making a scarf, you know, and that's usually what happens. People will get started. They're not making a lot of progress. They put it down because it gets boring because they're doing the same thing over and over again. And so that's why, you know, I feel like it makes more sense for you to start out with a bulky yarn. The Learn to Crochet playlist that I have on my channel now, the final video is actually making a hat with me. And it only took me, I think it took me less than an hour to film the video to make the hat. So, you know, I know that if someone is just starting out, they're not going to be able to make it along with me without pausing the video. But it's not going to take them 6 months to make a hat, you know? So I feel like it's, you know, I used to teach crochet, not classes or anything, but like if I was at a craft show and someone was sitting next to me and wanted to learn, that's always what I recommended. So I remember I was at a 2-day show, and the first day, the lady that was sitting next to me wanted to learn how to crochet. And so I told her, go to Walmart, buy this brand yarn and this size hook, and come back tomorrow and I'll teach you how to crochet. And that's what she did. And it was great. You know, she took a couple videos of me doing it too, so she could have it on her phone. But look at this. You would never know that that was crochet. Like, it's just making like a fabric. I mean, you cannot see your stitches. Like, I can put my finger through that because I know that the stitches are there, but you cannot see the stitches in that. That's awesome. This is going to be so cool. I'm really excited about this. I do have some projects before I can actually use this for anything. But this is going to be really neat. I'm going to do one more row. Let's see if I can remember. Yeah, it's easy to lose track on this, and I have no idea how many half double crochets I was doing, but let's see. This is also going to be harder because, you know, half double crochet, you've got the 3 working loops that you can use. There's no way I'd be able to know which of the 3 loops I was working into. I'm just kind of feeling around for a hole. Let's see. Okay, so I do need to continue talking about yarn saving tips. Let me know. I don't think anyone has shared anything in the comments. If you have any strategies that you use to save money on yarn. I know aside from, so we talked about local yarn shops. So the local shops, you just want to make sure that you keep an eye out for sales, get on any mailing lists, you know, take advantage of reward programs, especially like if you like to shop at your local yarn shop. A lot of them will have some kind of rewards program or something, you know, or they may have sales, but get on their mailing list. If they have a rewards program, take advantage of it. But the next thing that you can do is really explore your online options. So when I was buying a lot of Woolies Thick and Quick by Lion Brand, one of my favorite places to order online was actually Walmart. Um, for it was a couple of years ago. They had the 3 packs of Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick on rollback on their website that you could get shipped to your house, and it came out to less than $5 per skein for the Lion Brand Woolies Thick and Quick, and like that's really really good. I mean, that has gone up now to almost $10 a skein. In if you're buying it in store, not on sale. Especially if you buy from the Lion Brand website. I feel like you're always going to pay more if you buy it full price from their website. So just kind of looking at some of the different places that you can purchase the yarn that you're interested in, especially if you are hyper focused and want a very specific yarn. And that's where I was. I knew that that was the exact brand that I wanted for all of my stuff. So I just kind of looked around. Another website that I used to buy it from where I could get it cheap was, I say cheap, but cheaper than in store locally, was fabric.com. And let me double check and make sure that that's what that is. Fabric.com. Yes. So fabric.com has a whole bunch of fabric, but they also have yarn. And a lot of times they'll have yarn on sale. And I think that they might, let me see. I'm actually going to look up Lion Brand on there now. Let's see. Well, of course, now it's not coming up. And yarn. Let's try yarn. There we go. Okay. So if I find Woolies Thick and Quick. Let's see, not 100% wool. Where's the wool blend? Wool blend. Okay, so at this time, I don't see any that is super on sale. Most of them are comparable, so it's like $9 and something for a skein of yarn, which is not a very good deal. But at times they will have, like this one's $8.66. There's a certain color that's less expensive. There's another one that's $8.66. Here's one that's $7.26 for a specific color, and I think they only have 2 in stock. So there's a whole bunch of different places that you can go. Just Googling the exact type of yarn that you want and seeing what websites pop up. And obviously you don't want to go to sketchy websites. You might want to ask if there's a website. So I went looking for a yarn that had been discontinued, just to see where I could possibly buy it. You can go on Etsy sometimes and find it. Every now and then Amazon and eBay, you might be able to find discontinued yarn if you're looking for it. But I came across a website called Annie's. And I guess Annie's has been around for a long time, but I had never shopped there. And so it was kind of like red flag. I need to make sure. I've never heard of this. I need to check and make sure that, it's not going to scam me out of money. I don't know. So I'm in a couple of yarn Facebook groups, and I went on there and asked, like, has anyone shopped here? Have you had any issues? They've got the yarn that I'm looking for very cheap. A lot of times if you're looking for discontinued yarn on eBay and Etsy, they know it's discontinued, so you're going to pay a lot more. This place had the discontinued yarn, but it was still like on clearance, and so I got, responses back that Annie's is perfectly fine. It's a great website. And so it made me feel a little bit better about purchasing from the website. But there's a lot of places where you can buy yarn. And if you, like I said, if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can go on there and find it. Sindra, I shop at Annie's all the time, or buy from Annie's. Yes. So I didn't know. I had never heard of them. It really wasn't until COVID that I started shopping online that much more for yarn. I would buy a lot from Walmart. Like I said, when I could find what I was looking for on clearance, I would go online and have them ship it to me. But that was really the only place that I purchased yarn online. Michael's, a lot of times they'd be out of stock online and they wouldn't be able to ship things that I wanted that were on sale. And I always felt like I saved more money when I went into the store because, like I said, I could combine sales and coupons more easily. And, you know, usually you could find more stuff there. You can, you know, check the clearance racks. Let's see, another cloudy day. I watch a lot of yarn reviews. It helps me know if I really, yeah, yarn reviews are great. And I've done the same thing. And I feel like there have been times where I've bought yarn and wish I'd watched a review for that reason. You know, it's a lot easier to see the size, the true size as it works up, like what I'm working on now. And again, if you're just joining in, this is the newest yarn that I purchased in the super bulky category, and it is Bernat Velvet Plus. I found it at Ollies Bargain Outlet for half of the regular price. So I got these for $5 each. They're usually 10. So yeah, really good deal on these. And I got enough to make a sweater. So at some point I will figure out what kind of sweater I want to make. But I just wanted to show you guys how it worked up. It is very much like a faux fur, which is interesting because it's called Velvet Plus, and it's really not a velvet yarn, you know, that I would like. I've worked with some velvet yarns and I hated it. I didn't like the way it felt. It was not very soft. It wasn't easy to work with. This is super soft. This is like teddy bear soft. But it's also not super easy to work with because you can't see your stitches, you know, so you're going to be creating like this wall of fluffy fabric instead of actually being able to see your stitches. Now this is using a 12 millimeter. It says to use a 9, but I would not go down to a 9. I feel like that would just be asking for being really annoyed by trying to find your stitch holes. I might even go up, you know, because like I said, you can't see the holes in this fabric. So I could probably go up to maybe a 14 if, you know, if I didn't want to use a 12. So yeah, money saving, find some different websites to try, you know, bookmark them, sign up for their mailing lists. I feel like that's super helpful. I don't know if anyone else. Oh, D-stash groups. So Bella buys from D-stash groups. And that's a great way to do that. I have not done any D-stash sales. I take that back. I had a small group that I shared a couple of different yarns when we were planning to move. But it was actually difficult to sell yarn and it not get really expensive to ship. I had someone who wanted to buy a whole bunch of yarn from me. And I went to go, I was like, this is great. You know, I can sell it for fairly cheap. The shipping, because the box was so big. So as you guys know, most of my yarn is going to be super bulky yarn. So it took a really big box. And the box was outside of kind of that regular normal shipping size. And the person that wanted to buy the yarn was in California and I was in Georgia. So it was going to be almost $30 to ship that yarn. And since, you know, we're not big brands, so we can't get deals, you know, shipping these really large boxes. And I ended up not selling the yarn because it just didn't make any sense. And I wasn't going to make any money because at that point it would have been cheaper for her to go online and buy that from, you know, directly from Michael's or something because it wasn't a discontinued yarn. So, you know, that was difficult with the D-stash. But if you're buying lighter weight yarns in smaller quantities, it makes sense to do that. And I've seen some really good deals on Etsy. You know, if you're buying something that's a simple type of yarn, you know, sometimes you can get a deal on Etsy. You know, they may have found it on clearance and are selling it for, you know, still less than you would buy in store. So let's see. I feel like I needed to write down all of my other ideas. Hello. That's Tina. Hello, Tina. Yes. Oh, so I did have a few other yarns that I can share with you guys. Oh, scatterbrained. Another thing that you can look at for saving money. I know Michael's does a bulk thing now, but I think you have to sign up as like a business. But they do have bulk items you can buy as like 12, you know, whatever that amount is. Let's see if I can find it. It's like their bulk buy Michael's stores. And then I know Hobie also does bulk buy. So on Hobie, it depends on the yarn that you buy, but I think it's like anywhere from 6 to 10 items that you get to pay less per item. And then obviously sales on sites like Hobie. But there are some websites that allow you to get more of a bulk discount, which is again really great if you have a focus and you know that you need that much yarn. Another website, Lion Brand, will do that. So they'll do like the 10 for 10, or 5 for 10 or whatever it is, but you have to buy in section sets of 10. And then they'll also do box buys, so like you have to buy an entire box of that yarn. But I did the 5 for 10. I think it was 5 for 10, or 10 for 10, whatever it was. It was a really good deal. But I did that last year, and bought a huge box. It's actually the box. I took a couple of pictures of me in the box with the yarn because the box was so big. I think that was the biggest box of yarn that I'd had delivered, because they had that bulk buy. And I think a lot of times it's yarn that they're planning to discontinue because I never ended up getting to buy more of it. But usually I try to have an idea in mind of what I'm going to actually make with the item, like I did with this Velvet Plus. I knew I wanted to make a cardigan, and I kind of know an estimated range of yardage that I'll need for a sweater or a cardigan. And I make sure that I buy enough yarn for that project. And if I have a little extra, great, I can make something else. But that helps me too, to make sure that I'm not buying yarn that I'm just never going to use because I don't have enough to actually make something that I'd want to make. So let me see. I go to yarn on Michaels. And I need to check. I haven't checked Michaels' super bulky selection in a minute. I think most of it's the same. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything new here. I don't see their bulk buys right now. And again, they may have stopped doing it. I feel like the websites change things all the time. But that's the other thing. So if you can find bulk discounts on some of the websites that you're looking at, that can be extremely helpful. Okay. So another yarn that I got that I'm really excited about, because like I said, I'm really wanting to kind of become the go-to reference for super bulky yarn. So I want to be able to try out all of these different kinds of super bulky yarn that are out there so that you kind of know what your options are and what the different yarns are like. And that's why I said this is one of the styles of yarn, this kind of faux fur feeling yarn that I had not tried yet. And it's in that range. There are a lot of super bulky, or at least bulky, faux fur yarn options out there. And I want to try all of these different types of yarn. So the next one was t-shirt yarn. So I had made t-shirt yarn in the past myself, so cutting up the old t-shirts, tying them together, making a project using what you create, which is another money saving tip potentially. I really wanted to do that. We had some king size bed sheets. One of them had ripped, and so we saved them because I was like, I don't want to throw out an entire king size sheet. But we bought new sheets, and I still have the sheets, and I really want to make yarn out of that king size bed sheet because it's big enough to where I really feel like it would be enough for me to really make something. Because if you're cutting up regular t-shirts, especially like small, medium, large size t-shirts, you're not going to get a ton of yarn. You're going to need quite a few t-shirts to really make something substantial. And so the king size sheets, that's a lot of stuff. So at some point that's on my to-do list, to cut those sheets up into yarn and maybe make like a rug or something out of it. I don't know yet, but that's the plan. But I have never tried manufactured t-shirt yarn, so that you can buy in a store or buy online. I had a couple of people use t-shirt yarn for some of my tests, specifically my bags. So the bags that I released this past spring, the patterns, the Babe with the Yarn bag, and the Mariner crossbody bag, I had a couple of people use t-shirt yarn, and they purchased it from, I think they got it from We Crochet, like Knit Picks, I think, because it was the paint box. So whoever sells the paint box yarn, they bought the paint box t-shirt yarn. The other t-shirt yarn that I had someone use was the Hooked brand. So the Hooked brand with 3 O's. So HOOOKED. And I have started reaching out to a lot of yarn companies to sponsor designs. So I may want to make a bag or make a cardigan, and I'll reach out to a brand like Lion Brand or Hobie or Hooked or We Crochet. And I'll say, this is my idea. Some of them you have to submit a very specific idea with pictures and notes and things, but other ones you can just put it out there and say, this is what I'm making. You know, I want to use your yarn and promote it on social media. And so I finally reached out to Hooked because they specialize in that t-shirt style yarn, and it's all recycled. And so I was like, well, this is perfect. This is what I want to try to do. And it took a while going back and forth. But it's usually worth it if you can stick with it and just have that communication. And they sent me some yarn, so I'm going to share that with you guys. I actually told them I wanted to make a cardigan, and they said, oh, that's going to be really heavy. I don't know if that's something you want to make. And I was like, no, I do, because this is what I do. And I want to be able to give that feedback to, you know, other people. And let them know, like, okay, you can use this for this, but here are the pros and cons. You know, some people might think that the heavier cardigan is neat. You know, I mean, I like this is going to be a very heavy cardigan, but it's like a warm weighted cardigan, you know? So this is the yarn that I got from Hooked. And it is like a neon. So when I saw it on the website, it reminded me of like old Nickelodeon colors. So, you know, like retro Rugrats, you know, Rocko's Modern Life kind of stuff. But when you look closer, it's actually like Mickey. So you can see the little ears. But yeah, so it was considered their neon cartoon, I think is what they called it. But this is a 90% cotton, 10% other recycled fibers blend. You get 131 yards. They recommend a 10 to 15 millimeter hook, which is that's totally my little range of hooks that I love. That kind of 10 to 15 is what I love to use. So that's perfect. And that's really all it says on here. It's not a whole lot of additional information. But there's the center. But I'm really excited to try to use this. I'm not sure when I'm going to start on it. I have other projects that I'm trying to finish up. You know, the Ludo cardigan in particular is the one that I have been having to put off because of the move. It is ready. Like, all the testers have submitted all their stuff, and I just have to finish putting it together and, you know, correcting any of the errors that they found. So that is happening. And then I have this yarn that I'm going to use at some point for some kind of winter cardigan. And I have one more project that is on the top of my list because it's another sponsored project. And this is going to be my first time working with Knit Picks / We Crochet. So I'm going to share that. And I can't remember, I might have shared this last week as I was unpacking the yarn room, because I still need to unpack. There's lots of boxes in here still. But I will show you guys. This is my first time using any yarn from Knit Picks, and this is their Tough Puff. It is a size 6. It is 100% wool, so super bulky. And these are, I think they might have bigger skeins of this. This one is, how many yards? This is only 44 yards. So it's a smaller skein of yarn. But I got all super bright colors, and I'm going to call it the Tough Puff Vest, because it's going to be a little cropped vest with a big hood. So I feel like that'll be super fun. All right, so we've got bright green, bright yellow. It's going to be a super colorful vest. And bright pink. And I feel like I have a purple in here too. Let's see. Yep. We got bright purple. I'm going to move this yarn out of the way. There we go. So those are all the colors that I'm going to use for the Tough Puff Vest. And that one, I really need to get started on it ASAP because the deadline is coming up. So if you do get to a point where you decide you want to try to work with brands or write patterns or anything, it's really staying on schedule, having all of your deadlines ready. It's super helpful. Let's see. Nicole says that Mary Maxim has Bernat Softy Chunky on closeout at $1.99. So there you go. If you guys really like that super bulky yarn like I do, that's a good one. I've had a lot of people use the Softy Chunky on my test patterns for my cardigans and things. Good morning, Julie. Naughty. Hey, Evelyn, I completed my first ever chunky cardigan this past weekend. Made a boo-boo with the hood length that goes all the way down to the bottom ribbing. The hood length. So like the hood goes, I'm not really sure. You'll have to send me a picture because I can't picture that in my head. I'm guessing that is the Dobby cardigan. I think that's the only hooded cardigan that I have out there. Nicole, super fun colors. Glad you like them. I was really excited that they accepted the proposal for that vest because I've been wanting to do something really, really, really colorful like that. That's really bright and fun. Have to go back to work. Well, we will chat soon. And I do want to ask you guys, I am planning on trying to maybe move around the times of my lives because I feel like not as many people can join in because it's lunchtime. Some people are working, other things are happening. So should I move these to the afternoon? Would that be easier? Should I move them to a weekend? I know that the weekends are pretty full on YouTube. There's a lot of people that have their lives scheduled on the weekends, but I know there are some people who do, weeknight evenings kind of things. I could even do it super early. But I'd love you guys' feedback, see if there's a better time for me to be going live. I'm probably going to put that out there on Instagram and Facebook too, to see if you guys have a preference because, I want people to be able to join in and hang out and let me know what's happening. So let me know. Okay. Last big announcement is Christmas box pre-orders. So Christmas mystery boxes, the pre-orders opened this past week and they are closing tomorrow. So if you want a Christmas mystery box, they come with one of our 3D printed hooks and a whole bunch of really fun crochet stuff. It is mystery, so I can't give it away. But those are in my Etsy shop now, and tomorrow is the last day to put in your pre-order. So we'll be closing the pre-orders and purchasing all the things for the boxes the next day so that we can start getting everything in and getting the boxes together. We have printed almost all of the hooks that we're going to need for the Christmas boxes, and we are going to start putting the resin coat on them. They're going to be really fun. I'm excited about this one. And we're just excited about the boxes. They're really fun to put together. So if you want a early Christmas gift to yourself, that's something that you can purchase. And the boxes will be shipped out no later than the first week of December. So we're really excited about that and hope that everyone loves them as much as they liked the Halloween mystery boxes. And then we have to figure out what the next holiday is going to be. Whether we thought about maybe either doing like a Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day. We can't do both, so we'll have to maybe do like a poll and see what people want to do. But like I said, for now, I am back to doing my regularly scheduled lives on Tuesdays and Fridays. Tuesdays here on YouTube at 12 p.m. Eastern, and Fridays on Instagram. But I am looking at potentially changing around the times. Like I said, I want to find a time that works really well for everyone. For now, I'm sticking with the regular time because I've been doing it that way for so long. And until I can do a really good hard switch and let people know, I'll probably keep it at that time. So that's 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Naughty, you can't picture it because it shouldn't ever have been done. I added a hood to your Luna, but I went overboard with the hood size. That makes more sense. Because I was wondering, I was like, I don't know if I screwed the pattern up. Hopefully not. Every now and then there are mistakes that will slip through. And it's so funny when, I test all of my patterns and then, I obviously say that they're beginner friendly. So I have a lot of beginners that purchase and follow them. And every now and then there will be a mistake that will slip through for months. I had someone who sent me a message a couple of months ago about the Dobby pattern. And I was like, I don't understand how this didn't get caught sooner. But I had to go in and update it because there was just a small mistake. But I think sometimes, even in beginner friendly patterns, our minds kind of see what they want. And, there are things that can just kind of slip through. And, this person finally pointed it out to me and I was able to fix it. But it happens, So, all right. I think that's everything today. I'm ending a little early. But I am hoping to get a little bit more on schedule and on track with getting some new topics ready and hopefully starting to do some more like true yarn reviews. I'll probably do like a specific yarn review for this that I put out there. But this is really great. Like I said, this was found at Ollies, and they have a lot of burnout yarn. This is Velvet Plus, but it doesn't feel like velvet. It feels like fur. So check it out. If you've been wanting to try it, if you have an Ollies near you, you should go check out and see if they've got any of this. They have a different brown color too that I almost got both, but I felt like this was, it had a little brightness to it, which I really liked. There's almost like a red. So check that out. If you've been wanting to try faux fur, it's a great deal. And I'm going to start keeping an eye out for super chunky different yarn. I have a Hobby Lobby nearby, which I didn't have before. And I know they have a lot of super bulky yarn that I can check out and share with you guys. So that's kind of part of the plan now as the lives progress. And next week I should be working on a pattern. So I'm excited to go live and actually be crocheting again live, working on some of my designs and talking about them with you. So yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining in. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. And I will talk to you guys next on Friday. If you're on Instagram, you can join in. If not, I'll see you guys live next week here on YouTube, and I'll talk to you then. Bye, guys.